AJ, guess who has an elbow guard?
You? Because your mic, it sounds like your mic needs an elbow guard.
My mic needs to be run by a new company, but that's a whole nother world.
It's like, it sounds like, Scott, it sounds like you went Randy Macho Man Savage from the top rope on your mic with your elbow guard.
I'm going to chuck it into the Hudson River, like Tony Soprano style.
See, now you wish you were at my house, even though we don't want you at our house.
Exactly. I am pretty pissed off today. So anyway, do you know who really has an elbow guard now that you were calling for the past week, but you weren't on yesterday?
Bryce Harper. Wow, it's amazing. Wow, I don't know why. I mean, you have a surgically repaired elbow. I mean, Shohei has his whole body covered in a guard, and then he has a leg guard. I mean, he probably has guards that we don't even know about because a lot of those guys come over from Japan and Korea, and they have all the cool stuff. I mean, the Ha-Seong Kim guy has the double slidey pads that most guys only have one. Remember Jason Dominguez? He's going to go to two. But if you watch Ha-Seong Kim, the guy for the Dodgers, he has double.
How do you put the second one on? How do you you put them on and then who wraps the second one?
The first base coach.
So he wraps his own and then he goes and reaches out and goes, "Here, help me tie my shoe, please."
Yes, he goes, "Chris Woodward, I know you used to be a big league manager, but put my sliding pad on now."
Put it on.
Yes. I don't know.
All right.
I was never fast enough to need one of those. Plus, I never slid head first. I mean, I might have done it twice in my life, but I just wasn't a head first slidey guy.
It is a good question, though. It's like this one's on, and then you're like,
it's like mittens.
Hold it and go like this. Yeah. All right, let's charge because speaking of Kim, his team might not be the best ball club in baseball right now. Let's charge. Charging the mound. Mets win again. They clobbered the Dodgers. 6-1 the final. Pete Alonso put on a show. 2 home runs in LA. The second one was Freddie Freeman watched it go too. It was like, whoa. So the Mets have played really well in this series in LA. They lost one game by a run where Brandon Nimmo got turned around on a fly ball in game 2. Are the Mets better than the Dodgers right now? Yes or no, AJ?
No. No, I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that. I just think it was a series. And listen, good for the Mets, man. Good on the Mets for doing this. But let's not forget, the Mets did lose 2 out of 3 to the Dodgers, didn't they, when they just played each other in New York? So did things change that much? Did the one team get better in a week than the other team?
No, I thought the Mets won 2 out of 3.
Did the Mets win 2? I don't know. I was at the game.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay. Well, then maybe the Mets are better. Okay, never mind. The Mets are the best team ever. There you go. I said it.
Everyone wants to hear Kratz say it.
I mean, it's easy. The Mets are the best. The Mets are the best. They have the best record. So how could they not be the best? They have one of the best run differentials. They're the best. The Mets are the best. It's unbelievable. They're the best.
Wow, you guys have really great analysis today.
No, listen, here's the thing. I think over the long run, the Dodgers will be better. But the Dodgers right now, because they're so banged up, are not as good. Look at the pitchers. The pitchers are the thing that you look at for me. The starting pitchers especially. Now, I know Minaya is still out, but, again, no Glass now, no Sasaki. It's just like, okay, when these guys come back, who do you think is better? I still think the Dodgers are better. I think the Dodgers lineup 1 through 9 is still better than the Mets. So I think the Dodgers are a better team. But right now, the Mets are the best.
That's why the Dodgers are a better team. Because everybody's going to say injuries, they're inevitable. There will be changes. There will be slumps. There will be hot streaks. The Dodgers are the better team. That doesn't mean that you can't beat the Dodgers. It doesn't mean the Phillies won't beat the Dodgers. It doesn't mean the Yankees can't beat the Dodgers or the Mets. Like this was lucky or anything like that. That's not at all what we're saying. The question was, what team is better? It's the Dodgers. The Dodgers have a team that's built for longer lasting success. They might even have a worse record, but I would still say they're the better team.
What if they don't get the starting pitching back the way they think they will. Like, obviously, we're hoping to see Ohtani thrive as a starting pitcher in the second half of the season. You would hope that at least one of Snell and Glasnow come back and are healthy again, but both of them are dealing with the worst part of the body for a pitcher in modern times. Just giving you the classic what if. What if a starter goes down? What if a Yamamoto goes down? Right?
They've already had all their starters go down, haven't they? I mean, Yamamoto's the only one left from the beginning, isn't he? I mean, Landon Knack pitched pretty good the other day, so maybe Landon Knack's the answer.
So that's my point is, right now, the Mets seem to be playing the Dodgers better. Right? They seem to be the better team at this moment. Yeah, and they're
the best, Scott. We know you're a Mets fan. They're the best, Scott. They're the best. Let's go Mets. OMG Mets. I actually never talk like that. The thing is, they've won most of the games against the Dodgers this year. That's what I said. Right? They're the best, Scott. We can't say it anymore. Kratz, how else can we say that the Mets are the best?
They're the best. They are the best.
Do you guys like Sean Manaea?
I love Sean Manaea.
As a pitcher?
I think that would be a big pickup, but I don't think you can expect him to come in as the hot streak Manaea that he was at the end of the year right out of the gate. I was wrong. I said the same thing about Ronald Acuna. I didn't think he'd come back right away. There's a feeling out process. The Mets are going to give him a leash. Frankie Montas is going to come back sooner. Are they going to give him enough of a leash? Does he kind of is he going to be a bright spot in that rotation? The rotation really doesn't need him right now, and he hasn't had the greatest track record in the last 2 years. Is that going to last 3 years, really, with all the injuries? Is that going to be the downfall, adding him into the rotation? I don't know. Is Griffin Canning going to continue to be an all-star candidate for the rest of the season? That's why I think AJ and I are saying the Dodgers are a better team, but the Mets are the best.
So cute. They took them to 6 games in the NLCS last year.
Yeah.
They didn't have Soto.
They didn't win. Who won the World Series, Scott? Let me ask you that question.
The Dodgers. The Dodgers are the best.
No, they were last year, but now the Mets are the best. And listen, Edwin Diaz keeps throwing the way he does, and they keep their bullpen lined up the way it has. I mean, their bullpen's been really good for the Mets. I think that might be the biggest surprise. They're getting some huge contributions from guys I don't think we were counting on, and to do what they're doing now Diaz has been awesome, and then their starters have been, I mean, Peterson and if Senga can stay healthy, I mean, listen, this team is really good. They're poised, and if they ever get Scott's favorite player, Juan Soto, going, I mean, just think about what this team can do.
I would say that's the only
in the last week.
I would say the Mets.
I know.
Yeah.
I would say that's the Mets' only injury right now is Juan Soto's bat has been on the IL for most of the season. Like, look at what the Dodgers have on the IL. So if you're talking about if both teams are going to be 100% going into playoffs, which team do you think has a better chance of winning? Would be my question.
If both teams are 100%?
Yep.
Dodgers.
Okay.
How good of a series is that going to be, though? How good of a series is that going to be if it happens? And let's not throw the Phillies. We're just throwing the Phillies out there. And even the Cubby Bears. Now, I know the Cubby Bears have some holes, but I think that Jed Hoyer is going to be given the freedom to go try and find another starting pitcher. And if they keep swinging the bat the way they are, the National League is a beast, man. We ain't even talked about the Padres, the Giants, and the Diamondbacks. They look cooked, but I mean, the National League is a beast.
It's a really, really good National League over the American League. I mean, for example, this Dodgers team, pretty much the same one from last weekend, right? That took on the Yankees. Don't you feel like this is a pretty different looking series?
Yes. I mean, you take away the 18-1 game, there's some good games, but it's like, that you talk about the best in the National League, you could go down to top 4, possibly top 5, and then you're talking about the Yankees should be somewhere in there, and then there's a drop. I mean, I'm sorry, the Tigers and the Yankees should be somewhere in there. But then there's a big drop where the National League teams are there's just more available, just better teams.
I'm with you. And yeah, Canning was awesome, by the way, in that game. 6 shutout innings, 3 hits, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. He's from Cali. He's a UCLA alum. I'm sure this was pretty cool for him because there were times where you were looking at him the last year or so and before he entered the Mets equation. And you're like, I don't know if this guy's going to stick around in the league for much longer. Braves didn't want him, right? It turned out to just be a money dump with Soler. They let him loose, and the Mets are like, we'll take him. We'll pitching lab him. And Alden Gonzalez put out a tweet last night saying, Canning, 4.82 ERA the prior 2 seasons. He's sub-3 this year. Sean Manaea, before getting to the Mets, 4.73 prior 2 seasons, then a 3.5 last year. Luis Severino cut his ERA in half. David Peterson cut his ERA down about in half from 23 to 24-25. So David Stearns, Jeremy Hefner in the pitching program is working.
And most of them have stayed healthy too. It hasn't been like, Senga went down with, other things but it seems like this team is staying healthy compared to a lot of other teams. Let's not forget. That's a big deal. Doesn't seem like a big deal, but like, look at the Dodgers who they have on the IL. But the Mets guys, for the most part, have stayed healthy. Severino needed to stay healthy, had a big year, right? With the Yankees, he couldn't stay healthy. He goes out and has a great year with the Mets. I mean, most of these guys have stayed healthy for the most part.
I agree. That's a huge part of the conversation. There seems to be 5 to 7 ball clubs that do a really nice job with resurrecting pitchers. Some of those clubs always have guys hurt. The Dodgers are leading the charge. The Rays are up there. I think that tracks a lot. I would say Cleveland's really good at resurrecting guys. They're probably in between. I don't feel like they have the injury load that teams like the Rays and the Dodgers do. You do? I think they're a little more tilted towards the Mets.
They get rid of them. They say, hey, right around your injury window time, he gone. Ship him out. Kind of like the Rays. They ship him out. But, I mean, hey, look, if you're questioning whether the David Stearns and the Mets can keep pitching healthy or not, or resurrect guys' careers, no better example to solidify it than Frankie Montas. Like, if they get Frankie Montas to be a viable piece of that rotation, you should be all in, and everybody should be mimicking what David Stearns has done for years between the Brewers and now the Mets.
I second that. I will tip my cap to the ultimate ability.
Well, no. Frankie Montas pitched last year now. He did pitch last year when he needed to. He did pitch
with success.
Oh, well, he pitched. That's a start for what he's been through.
And where was he at last year, to the end of the year?
Well, Milwaukee. Cincinnati and Milwaukee.
With a 5 ERA?
Yeah, it was like 4.6. But, I mean, he pitched. But he did pitch, though. He pitched.
But if he comes back and in the second half he's got a 2.5, then let's talk and be like, someone's got to.
I mean, listen, what they did to Sean Manaea, what Sean Manaea did when he changed his arm angle was a big deal. I mean, it was. I'm sorry. What he did and the adjustments he made to become, I'm not saying he was the best pitcher in the National League in the second half, but you could make an argument he was top 2 or 3 in the National League in the second half with what he did in the numbers and then what he did in the playoffs.
One more name. Reed Garrett.
Yeah. Yeah. Kranick. What's his name? Kranick?
Kranick's been pretty good. Reed Garrett with the fastball cutter splitter location that he's got going on right now, the command of those pitches. I mean, he's dotting it wherever he wants. He is a really tough AB. What he did, what was that, game 2 of the series? Betts and Ohtani on second and third, no outs. Escapes with no runs. It was pretty impressive. Hey, you can say where I'm from and who I rooted for as a kid, but I am the first person that has called them out over the last, 15 years that I've been in baseball media when there's problems, and usually there have been problems. So I'm going to give this team a lot of love when they seem to be in a much better spot from an organizational perspective. I think they went through a lot of turnover. It's not just, the few employees that we do know, but all the way from top to bottom. There's just been a total wash going on to make sure that they're in a better spot than during the Wilpon era with the Mets. And this looks pretty damn good to me.
Obviously, this is super young, infant stage of Cohen owning the team. But if you're a Mets fan, it has been – I don't think it could have gone better. I get it. Mets fans won a World Series right away. But they're building something that seems more sustainable than just who's the best pitcher out in the market. We'll take him. We'll take the next guy. We'll take the best hitter. We'll take the best – they're building something sustainable, finding so much value in pitching.
Yeah, and David Stearns generally doesn't believe in long-term contracts for starting pitchers. I'm talking about the big ones, not 3 or 75 for Manaea. I'm talking 200 plus for Fried and Corbin Burns. Stearns is not a fan, hasn't done it. We'll see if that bites them. You got to see an actual World Series title. What, shorter? Is that what you're saying?
He's a short-term guy. He's a shorter-term guy. He likes those deals on short terms. Look what he did with the Brewers. Look what he's doing here with his first couple of years with the Mets. He's a smaller term pitcher contract guy, and that's fine.
And hey, we get it. It's early June, but impressive series. So it's worth pointing out. We give the Dodgers plenty of love. Mets have played them tough. And obviously Pete Alonso has bounced back big too. I mean, he was fine last year, but he's really damn good this year. As for the Red Sox, Robbie Hyde from Monster Territory.
Do we have to talk about – do we have to? Do we have to?
I mean, you can try to bring something else up to Robbie, but I would prefer Red Sox talk with him for a few minutes. So we'll get him next. Todd Father and I are from Jersey, so we're used to, I got a guy. But sometimes that just means when I'm looking for a car, I go to Car Gurus.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, the best part about this is communication, which we love here in Jersey where we're from. And this is a place where you can get a car. The price drops all the time, and they let you know. They let you know when your car is ready and when you can get it. The communication part is the best thing for me, Scott.
Agreed. In-depth vehicle reviews. Car Gurus will connect you with trusted dealerships when you're ready, ensuring a transparent and hassle-free buying process with over 4 million listings. They have more car listings than any other major online automotive marketplace in the U.S., so you can find the best deal. Buy or sell your next car today with Car Gurus at cargurus.com. Go to cargurus.com to make sure your big deal is the best deal. That's cargurus.com. cargurus.com. This is it, AJ. You've got 2 minutes. 2 minutes to give love to a team that pulled off a sweep in Miami.
Oh, how bad are the Marlins? You know what they should have done? This is only the Marlins could get swept by the Rockies. I mean, Peter Bendix is, we've talked about him trying to reinvent baseball. Here it is. He's reinvented. Everyone else is beating the Rockies. He's like, watch this, guys. We're going to lose to the Rockies on purpose so we get a better draft pick next year.
More lottery balls.
I don't understand. I just don't understand come on. You can't get swept by the Rockies. But they did, and the huge crowds every night saw it.
I want you guys to spend time and watch the Rockies play for a series. And if you got an opportunity to watch the Rockies play the Marlins, the one game I saw, too many people came to the game. I'll be honest with you. Outfielders taking bad routes, base runners not taking the extra base, situational, putting guys in games in different spots. They're two managers that are super hamstrung right there.
By the way, the fact that you watched one of these games is your own fault.
Yeah, that's true.
I had to.
The fact that
it's historic. It's historic. They're bad.
You had to watch this? I mean, this is I would have to be in the torture. I would have to be being tortured somewhere, and they'd have to put toothpicks in my eyes and be like, you have to watch this.
Yeah.
No, I'd rather have the sleep deprivation.
I'd rather watch certain prospects I like Roman Anthony's minor league game. Robbie Hyde, host of
Hello.
Monster Territory, back on the show. Beautiful backdrop. Robbie, great to see you, man. How's
Thanks
life
for having me.
covering
Great
the
to be
most
back.
dramatic team in baseball, dude?
Gotta love it. It's just fun times right now. They had the walk-off yesterday, so that was fun. But yeah, it's been an interesting season. So
Wait, aren't they doing a Netflix documentary on the team this season? Oh, wait, no, that was a year. Sorry, Robbie. Go ahead. Continue.
wrong year. I mean, they should have done it this year. I mean, this is way more interesting this year. You could have had all the Raffy stuff. It's so much, and they missed out right there. So
Last year was boring. Last year was.
Hey, Raffy hit the walk-off homer.
yeah,
Yeah, but AJ, last year the
Raffy
Red
hit the
Sox
walk-off
compared to
homer,
this year-
302 feet, though. 302 foot
dang.
homer yesterday, by the way, which is unbelievable. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, around
Yes.
pesky ball.
yeah. Seti, he's very good at just poking it the other way. He found a way to get it done yesterday. So
All right, so Robbie, let's vent. Let's vent. Tell us what you've been telling people on Monster Territory about this team, the highs, the lows, and how to fix it.
Before coming on today, I was trying to think what is the right nickname for this team. I've been using the phrase lately, consistently inconsistent, but they're starting to they're trying to be the driveline darlings to me, but they're just not doing a great job at it. It's just a very weird year right now. When this team is on, they do a lot of things well, but then they mess up so many other times. You look at the defense, right? They're leading in errors right now. The Rockies are actually doing better in that department right now. That's pretty crazy. But they make so many mistakes on the field. And when you take a look at the offense, it's been so inconsistent. They lead the major leagues in swings this year. They're very good when it comes to exit velocity, right? They can bang, but they're not very good with the plate discipline. They have the 6th highest strikeout percentage this year, the 5th highest chase percentage on the year. Against fastballs, they're one of the lesser teams out there. So, when they have their good days, yeah, they're pretty solid, but there's just too many inconsistencies with this team right now. And then the starting pitching, you got Garrett Crochet, who's been amazing. He's the war pig, but after him, I mean, it's so up and down. You've had injuries, underperformances. It's just been a mess.
I want to hit the inconsistencies. I feel like we knew this going into the season, that the defense was boo-boo and they would swing a lot and they had no plate discipline. Did they really think, or did fans really buy the fact that Alex Bregman was a Gold Glover coming into the year, had great plate discipline, would just permeate this entire lineup and fix everything? Or was it something that, it was smoke and mirrors until the season started and now they kick the ball around like a Fenway Sports soccer team?
I'm trying to come up with an analogy. I'm sure AJ will love this one. Coming into the year, it almost felt like the 2005 playoffs, right? You got a good team on the field, but then you get hammered in game 1 against the White Sox. AJ Pierzynski's hitting a home run off Matt Clement, and everything just goes to crap, and that's kind of how this season's really been. Bregman, one of the best players in the American League. But, he goes down and then you just see a lot of flaws get exposed. He already had some flaws getting exposed. And that's telling me that there seems to be more of a philosophical thing going on here. There's more things that are just deep rooted. The approach, I just don't think it's the right approach. Sure, some nights it works, but they don't make the right adjustments, especially in the plate discipline department. I want to see them take more pitches instead of just swinging out of their shoes constantly, trying to hit home runs. Again, they're trying to be the driveline darlings, and they're not doing a very good job at it.
Two homers in that game, okay? I had 2 homers in that game. One to left and one to right.
It was one off Clement.
One after I tried to bunt, by the way, and then I hit a 2-3. It was actually a 3-run homer. And
then
then
I still cry myself to sleep, AJ. So
I see that. We not only did I end Moneyball, I ended the chance for the Red Sox to go back-to-back. So it was perfect. It worked out good. But my question is who's been more disappointing the last month? Has it been Trevor Story or has it been Christian Campbell, who was the darling, signed the big contract? And look at his numbers the last month. They have gone just straight.
Yeah. I never want to get on to, a guy who, he's a rookie in Major League Baseball. He's going to go through his adjustments. He's going to go through his periods where he's going to have some tough times. I mean, you look at Dustin Pedroia back in 2007, Red Sox fans all over the land were saying, all right, please send this guy back down. And then he ended up coming around, winning Rookie of the Year, MVP the year later. So I'm not going to get on to Christian Campbell too much. That guy works extremely hard. I have no doubt that he's going to be back on track at some point. I'm looking at Trevor Story. Luckily, he had a good series in Atlanta. I mean, thank goodness he had that series. But I'd say he's one of the biggest disappointments in baseball this year, obviously getting the amount of money that he gets. And he even knows it too. I mean, he would be the first one to say, this is on me. I'd have to say Trevor Story. You need more out of the bat with him.
Do you think Jarren Duran is in a Red Sox uniform after this season if the team finishes at 500 and easily out of the playoffs?
I love me a good trade. I love me some trade rumors. I love putting them together. This might sound like a cop-out answer, but I'll go 50-50 on it because I think you could also look into something with Wilyer Abreu. I did wonder coming into the year if one of their outfielders would get moved. I'm convinced now it probably won't be Cedar Rafaela. He's just so good defensively in the outfield, and he's showing you a lot with the bat lately. There's a lot of upside with him. I just wonder, with these arbitration guys like Wilyer, Duran, you could move one of them because it opens the door for a certain guy. I don't know if you know him or not. His name's Roman Anthony. He's all over the news waves today. So,
okay. Is Roman Anthony the answer? Is my follow-up question to that. So I appreciate you saying that because you add a young guy into a lineup that has all those flaws that you just said. There's one, pressure on him. Two, you learn from what you see around you.
So with Roman, I mean, the talent I think is off the charts. I honestly could see a guy where he gets a lot of comps to JD Drew, where I think, he has that talent level with JD Drew. Obviously, he had a lot of injuries, the commitment on the field that was in question at times. I think Roman has the ability that JD Drew had. If you go to those scouting reports back when he was coming up, JD Drew was being regarded as one of the next best players in baseball. I think Roman has that ability. The plate discipline that he has, it's off the charts. I do think he is going to be a very good player with the Red Sox, but I don't think he should be counted on this year to be a big-time player. I don't think it's fair to, give him that Jackson Merrill label of, what he did for the Padres last year. I think that's unfair. I do think he could come up and contribute. Now, there is some swing and miss in Roman's game. I do think that could end up getting shown a bit more at the major league level, but I just think with the talent that he has, the plate discipline that he has, I think he's going to end up being very good for the Red Sox. And I think if he comes up here in the next week or two, I think he's going to contribute right away.
Are you sure about the comparison you want to bring up with JD Drew and the Red Sox? Because he didn't have a great time with the Red Sox, did he? His brother did okay, but JD, I don't know that he was one of the Red Sox, the Massholes' favorite people, was he? So are you sure you want to go there?
No. Hold on a second. I'm not comparing, the personalities, I would say.
Okay.
I will say with JD, he did have that big-time grand slam in Game 6 back in 2007. I've never been so loud running around my living room at a grand slam. So that was something. But no, I'm more looking at the ability. And I did talk to some Baseball America people about this, and they agree with me. They do see a lot of JD Drew's game in Roman Anthony, not the off the field personality.
Okay, all right. That's because there's going to be some massholes that are going to be yelling at you if you compare that. Yeah. Now, you mentioned Garrett Crochet earlier. Is he the best pitcher in the American League, not named Tarek Skubal right now? And should he start the All-Star game possibly?
I think he should start the All-Star game. He was my pick for the Cy Young coming into the year. He's the war pig, man. I don't know if you noticed that during this was hilarious to me. During that little, I guess, you call it a scuffle? I don't even know what you call it before the Angels Red Sox game yesterday with the first base coach and Tyler Anderson. There was Garrett Crochet in full uniform. I think he was probably throwing a bullpen or something. That was hilarious to me. That guy's always ready to go. He's the war pig. He's going to be, I think, the Cy Young this year.
Okay. Does the war pig have the ability to pitch more than every 5 days? Because where does this rotation go? And did Craig Breslow set this rotation up for what they are right now since Tanner Houck has done what Tanner Houck has done this year?
That we talked disappointments earlier. I think you can look at Tanner Houck as well. I mean, the year that he had last year, there was a little bit of a drop off in the second half for Houck last year, but he showed a lot, right? 30 starts, solid ERA. Everything was looking very good. I think there's something mechanically going on with him right now. My guess is they did the Phantom IL and they're trying to work on some stuff with him. And I mean, maybe he is going through some stuff as well. But I think Houck, that he's definitely been a disappointment. They're going to have to figure out what to do with him. Buehler, he's been up and down. He's had some injuries this year. Brian Bayo, he's not even throwing really any changeups this year, at least effective changeups compared to what it's been in the past. A couple of years ago, I mean, this guy, he was tossing these changeups in there, and these guys couldn't even hit it. He's been off. So I don't know, man. It kind of just makes me wonder. I get back to the philosophical side of things. Sure, you could have the talent on the field, but are they taking the right approach to having these guys ready on the field? And right now, starting pitching wise, after Crochet, it's really questionable. That's where I do wonder if, sure, they do have to fix some things up, but could you use Duran or Abreu as, maybe some trade pieces to go land a starter out there? I don't think that's completely out of the question.
All right. You spoke of the dust up before the game, whatever that was, old men yelling at each other, get off my lawn. Who do you think wins in that fight? Garrett Crochet or the rest of the coaching staff from the Angels?
Oh, man. I mean, poor Ron Washington. He can't get involved with that. Come on, he's got that he had the infamous line, right? First base, it's incredibly hard, right? You can't touch Ron Washington. I mean, is this the same kind of argument like the apes or the whatever that was against one person? Same. Okay. I'm going War Pig all the way. I'm sticking with my guy, man. I think he's got it, especially if he's in full uniform like he was yesterday.
Looked huge. 100%.
By the way, that was a poor fight. I don't know what they were arguing about, but then Alex Cora goes over there with his green Starbucks and is like, "Hey, I'm sorry, Tyler Anderson. We might trade for you later, so let's be friends, okay?" My green Starbucks, right?
It was Duncan.
AC,
it was Duncan.
Was it Duncan?
Okay,
had to be Duncan, or Alex Cora is out. He's out of Boston if it's not Duncan. You cannot.
You might have to fire him.
But it's a fireable offense. Am I not wrong, Robbie?
I mean, listen, Cora, people keep going back and forth lately. Is he on the hot seat? I'm not ready to go there yet, but I mean, come on. It's not even just that it was Starbucks. It's a matcha. I mean, you couldn't even just get like an iced coffee, come on, matcha? Like, what are we doing?
Hey, listen, Robbie. I'm disappointed. Speaking of, not only I have my Starbucks here, by the way. Shout out sponsorship Starbucks, but
it's not matcha.
I want to know this.
That's,
Speaking
that's
of
a green
things, how do you? It's definitely not matcha. But I'm in Vegas, so I need a coffee to wake up this morning. Here's my question for you, Robbie. You're talking about green things. How is your shirt every day not the Green Monster New City Connects? Like, that seems like is the easiest thing for you in the world, is that you should wear that every day. And then you have the Green Monster behind you, and you could blend in. And when things go crazy, you could just kind of do a Manny Ramirez and back up the Homer Simpson and disappear into the wall.
I got to say, they are sharp. I do like them. I do like them a lot. I actually did order one, and those things are pricey, by the way. If anyone out there wants to help me out and get me one, that'd be cool. Well, I did get one, but I had to return it. I got it a little too small. You never know with these jerseys. I got some that are like large, and they fit just right. And then sometimes a large with the jerseys, they can be too big. And, so I got that one at a large. It was just way too small. So I don't have a City Connect right now. So if anyone wants to help me out there, I would much appreciate that. So,
Robbie, I can't get you a City Connect, but I can. I need your, since you are the voice of the Red Sox now on our media network. It's my Monster Green. It's my Monster Green wall.
I do like it.
It is. That's exactly what I got from, I don't know where it was, the paint store or something. So it's good. Am I allowed to keep it? I played 0 games, but I was on the team for 2.5 days. I didn't get in the
As
game,
long as the
but
paint was from Sherwin-Williams, one of my good buddies he was a manager there at one point. So as long as it's Sherwin-Williams, was it Sherwin-Williams?
yeah, let's say yes.
Perfect. You got it.
Okay,
Keep
perfect.
it. No,
Okay,
I like
good.
it. It contrasts very well with the shirt. So it's a nice look.
The amount of brand drops in the last few minutes it's just incredible. So I want to finish
Trying to
with
help
this. This is actually some cool news that some people on our show might not know about, but the press release officially came out today. I don't know if you caught it yet, Robbie, but the press release reads NESN and SportsNet Pittsburgh, because they work together, and Foul Territory Network announced distribution partnership. We'll cover the Ken Rosenthal part of that in our break, but Monster Territory, hosted by popular baseball YouTuber Robbie Hyde, streams on NESN Nation with fresh episodes after every Red Sox game. So congratulations, Robbie. I'm pretty excited to see you on there, obviously, in addition to YouTube, Pod, everywhere else. And how's it been going?
It's it's amazing, growing up, just the doofus that I was and still am, sitting in my room watching games on NESN. And now I'm talking on NESN. That's the weirdest thing. I got to watch AJ kick the crap out of the Red Sox all the time on NESN, for crying out loud. Now I get to, talk about the Red Sox getting beat up all the time on NESN. So it's good. I'm very excited. It's an amazing opportunity. I'm very thankful for it. It's pretty crazy to even think about, honestly.
Yeah. Pretty surreal. I know we've talked about it a lot, and obviously a lot of hard work behind the scenes, but really cool.
Robbie, just make sure
Robbie,
just make sure when you're on there, because there's going to be some late nights, and at least you have something to talk about every day with the Red Sox. But make sure you don't bring the what is this? I don't know, green Starbucks lady. Make sure you have your Dunkin', right? Because otherwise you have Ben Affleck and Matt Damon and Bill Belichick, and worse, Bill Belichick's girlfriend will be on there yelling at you that you're not doing things right. So make sure you bring the right coffee when you go on there.
No, for sure. I stick safe with the mugs, but I've wanted to get those Dunkin' track suits. I don't know if you've seen those. Have you guys seen those? They're quite sharp.
Yeah.
I got to get those.
We'll work on it. I know a guy there, so we'll keep you posted. I'm not scared of any of those people besides the last one you mentioned, AJ. Anyway, Robbie, great to have you on, man. Appreciate it. You do a great job over there. Really good Red Sox talk. Maybe we'll talk in a few weeks and they're back over 500. And if not, we're going to be talking about which pieces they should sell. So we'll have you back soon.
I'm ready for the Red Sox fire sale if that happens. So you know where to find me.
Absolutely. You'll get the phone call. Thanks, Robbie. Appreciate you, man.
See you later.
Monster Territory is the show. Nice. I love that promo page. Robbie talking to Alex Cora, who does not have anything in his hands, no cups of anything, okay? Because when he goes on Robbie's show, he's just naturally himself, matcha free. Anyway, we'll be right back. There's some breaking news about AJ's White Sox. Is he taking over the team?
Never.
FT fam, you might have a boring, old, crusty, unpretty razor, and it might be expensive. So, AJ, should they consider another option?
Look how cool this is. Look at the color scheme. Look at it. Little sheath to hide the blades when you travel. Works great. I've been using this for a couple weeks now with Harry's. Clean, no bumps, no cuts. Works great. And you know the best part? It's a great price, especially if you use the Foul Territory code, Scott.
That's right. Harrys.com/foul. Guess what? You can also get yourself a no-risk trial. So if you don't like your shave, no worries. It's on Harry's. They're not worried about it. Get the edge on your shave with Harry's. Normally, the trial set is $10. But right now, you can get it for just $6 at harrys.com/foul. Use the exclusive link, harrys.com/foul, for a $6 trial set. Hey, this is pretty cool. I'll give you the other half of the press release. Beginning this week, the home networks of the Red Sox and the Pirates are airing Fair Territory with Ken Rosenthal and Alana Rizzo on Thursdays. to the programming schedule on NESN, NESN Plus, NESN Nation, and SportsNet Pittsburgh. So obviously for the YouTube crowd, I like to give everyone the news and how we're growing. And you can still catch all of those shows, free 99 on whatever platform you're listening to. This is just expansion, distribution expansion, Kratz. More Ken.
I mean, people need to listen to Ken. Like if he might not talk about your team specifically, but he's talking about the game, and he's gonna. I mean, they're so lucky. I think other teams' networks are afraid of Ken because he brings the truth, and they don't want the truth to get out.
Oh, although we're working on a few others. There are definitely a few afraid, but there are a few others interested. So stay tuned. I do a little.
What are we interested in?
Ken going to other teams.
Other networks.
I thought Ken was on the other team. I'm confused. He's not on my team. He's on the other team.
He's on fair territory, not foul territory. Although he is on foul territory as well.
I was talking more about Fox. Like Fox, he's on a different team than me. He's on the superstar team. He's on the superstar team.
He's on the varsity team, and you're on the JV squad.
Yes, it's fine though. The JV does fine. We do okay.
Field
JV's
how
hilarious.
How about this? Field 2. You're the Field 2 team.
BP Group 2.
Group 3. Group 3. Group 2 starters.
Group 4. Group 4 was a big thing with the White Sox.
FT breaking news. Let's show you the Jesse Rogers tweet when we have it here. The Chicago White Sox might eventually turn the keys over to a billionaire who loves baseball and has a brother who owns the Phoenix Suns. This has been an ongoing saga as we thought the Ishbias were going to be controlling the Minnesota Twins. That got stripped away from Minnesota fans who were quite upset about it. The White Sox announced they have entered into a long-term investment agreement with billionaire Justin Ishbia. The agreement provides that from 2029 to 2033, Reinsdorf will have the option to sell the controlling interest to Justin Ishbia. After the 2034 season, Ishbia will have the option to acquire the controlling interest. In the event of any such future transaction, all limited partners of the Sox would have the opportunity to sell to Ishbia at that time. So what I'm reading from this, AJ, is that Justin Ishbia was looking into the Twins. Looks like the Twins were very interested in making something happen. Twins fans were very, very interested in moving on from the Pohlads. That didn't happen. And then we find out that they're going to strengthen the relationship. Now fast forward to here. And either Jerry's going to sell off or eventually he's going to have the option to pick up controlling interest of the team. This is going to be the next owner of the White Sox.
100. He's already pretty much the owner. I mean, he bought up a lot of the smaller partners already. So I think he already owns like 30% of them or something like that. And Jerry and his son control the rest. My question is God forbid, what happens if something happens to Reinsdorf before 2029? Is there a clause where he can do something before that? Because everything I've heard is that, the Reinsdorfs want to sell as soon as something happens to Jerry, which, I mean, listen, I'm not sounding morbid, but he is in his upper 80s, and people don't usually live to 132 years old. So, I mean, I don't want anything to happen to Jerry. I love Jerry. But, I mean, what happens if something happens to Jerry before that? Is there a way for the Ishbia brothers to buy it before that if something, God forbid, happens to Jerry Reinsdorf?
I'm sure there's an agreement in place or something that they can figure out. And either way, the absolute worst case, obviously, if something does happen and then someone else is controlling the team, like, another kid, or even if somehow a kid takes over and then sells the team, it seems like in writing, no matter what, this is getting done in 2029 to 2033 or at 2034 in the latest. So yeah, I would think that if there's some unforeseen circumstances, something else might happen. To me, Kratz, this means Jerry still wants to try and get this team back on the winning side of things, see out this tanking rebuild situation that we've got going on because it's 2025, right? And there's nothing until 2029. Then from 29 to 33, he can see where he's at.
So they just want to see if this plan just continues? Like this is like what, to me, I was going to ask AJ because AJ is our resident White Sox fan. What do you want to hear from Ishbia? What do you want to hear from him as like the incoming owner? Like, hey, I'm going to bring this back to a big market team, which they are. I'm going to, try to run it like what would you want to even hear from a new ownership? Because to me, if I'm a White Sox fan, I'm pissed that it's going to take that long to get Jerry out because Jerry's not going to spend. And I don't see how this team fully recovers without spending. So to me, it looks like it's like trade Lou Bob already because he ain't going to be here in 6 years when the new ownership comes in.
I agree with what you just said. Why is it going to take this long? Why is it going to take this? That's kind of my point is Jerry's what, 88, 87, 88, 89, somewhere around there, years old. I mean, why are we waiting till 2029? That's kind of my question, Kratz. I agree with you. Like, if the Ishbias can afford to buy this team, why would they not do it now and try to, make a lot of people happy in Chicago? Not that I'm saying for Jerry to sell the team, but it would make a lot of people there happy. And the other question is, what do I want to see out of them? I want to see a plan that allows this organization to continue to go up, right? It seems like the White Sox are like flat like this or going down. They need a new stadium. They keep talking about wanting a new stadium, but they don't want to use private funding. They want all public funding. Will the Ishbias be able to put some of their money into it and get a new stadium? Will they be able to sustain success? Now, I know all teams go through ups and downs, but some teams are better at sustaining the success. Will they be able to implement a plan with whoever that is to sustain success for a long time for the White Sox? I don't know. That's what I want to see. Listen, you talk to people in Phoenix about what they did in Phoenix. Some will say they've been great. Some will say, they've done some really questionable things with the Suns, including trading for Kevin Durant and not being very good. So I don't know what the answer is there, but the Ishbias have been talked about for a long time buying the White Sox because they were White Sox fans. So I'm all for it. What do I want to see? I want to see them figure out a way to sustain success, unlike the White Sox have done for about the last, 125 years of their existence.
He's 89, by the way. And I'm not going to comment like I know a ton about the Sun situation. I know they've been disappointing in terms of what the product is wins and losses wise, but I feel like most baseball fans that are in a tough spot just want teams to care, to try. Like, I think the bar is set much lower in baseball than it is for other sports.
That's what I'm saying.
When you're dealing with some of the organizations that are a disaster.
Can you sustain success though, right? That's the key. Like any good owner, we'll use Stevie Cohen as example, right? What did Stevie Cohen say? Why did he bring David Stearns in? Because not only does he want to win at the big league level, but he wants to have a minor league system that can sustain help. Say what you want about AJ Preller and the Padres, and we had this conversation 2 days ago when we had Kyle Glazer on. That the Padres with Preller, they're like, who can they trade? AJ Preller always finds somebody they can trade. He drafts guys, and you can say, their farm system doesn't produce a lot, but it's produced Merrill, it's produced some of their pitchers, and it's produced some players for them. So that's what you want to see. You want to see an owner that's behind them, that pushes you to the limit, right? And then you want to have them hire the right people in the front office that help you win. I think that's what all fans are looking for, and I think that's why some fans get frustrated with their owner. We'll use Pittsburgh, for example, with Nutting, right? Bob Nutting. He doesn't spend the money in order to help them on either the minor league side or the big league side. And if you don't have that, the fans get frustrated. I think that's why people look at the Cubs in the same town and say, why are the Cubs not winning every single year? They have the resources. Well, they're trying to figure it out with Jed Hoyer, but the ones that are successful are the ones that do both. They develop their minor leaguers. And I know the Dodgers have more money than everybody, but they develop their minor leaguers and they spend money on the big league product.
My question is, if it takes this long to sell a team, we're going to go through 2 CBAs. Do the Ishbias or does Jerry Reinsdorf, because he's getting out and he's already said, hey, you know what, I'm getting out, does he really push? Because I think, now tell me if I'm wrong, he was one of the ones that was pushing for the salary cap way back in the day. Maybe I'm completely off base on that.
Of course. We've always got the usual suspects. Yeah.
So I'm saying he's way up there. He could just be a dude, hey, you know what? I'm swinging for the fences in this and really throw a wrench in that whole process of common sense when they go to the bargaining table.
By the way, Jesse Rogers adding, simply put, hold on, because I guess he's getting a lot of questions, from 2029 to 2033, at any point, it's up to Jerry if he wants to sell controlling interest. And yes, this is what we said, but just confirming. After that, 2034, you'll have a new owner. here's the thing. That's in a decade. That's
Too long.
a really long time from now. A decade. Where are we in a decade? Life question. Anyway, one other part of this that you mentioned, AJ, that I just want to touch on. The Chicago Fire put out that fire post we call dibs on the 78. So they got that plot of land that the White Sox
They stole
wanted.
their spot. They stole their
No.
spot. They stole their spot, bro. They stole their spot.
Did they get the
Fire-
city
the
to
Fire
give them money,
stole the
or they
White
pay
Sox
for it
Fire.
themselves? Do we know about
I
that?
think they're paying for it themselves. I'm not sure.
Makes sense.
I don't
So-
know. I
so
think
here you
they're-
go. The White Sox asked
Yeah.
the city for $1 jillion. The city says, nah, we did that for you. And then the Fire come in and they're like,
Yeah.
this plot of land, can we just build this ourselves? Because we're, billionaires. Anybody that owns a team has a lot of money or access to money. And you wouldn't do it if you don't think it's going to be a successful venture. So you can also take out loans. And the answer was yes. So it was the ultimate trolling. If I'll text you guys the video. It has their mascot just taking out a little lawn chair and planting it on a patch of grass, and then it just says, "We call dibs on the 78."
Yeah, the thing is, though, there are people saying, though, that you can do both there. There are people
How?
saying you can do it both there. You can put the Sox Park and the Fire Park next to each other. So, but that doesn't leave a lot of room for what every team wants, which is the big area, right? Like a Battery where you can have all the stuff everywhere. If you got two stadiums, that pretty much covers that whole plot of land.
Yeah, right. I'm sure the White Sox didn't want to share. It would be my guess. But yeah, I guess they're still in the running for another piece of that. But yes, there's not infinite land on this earth. A lot of life lessons today. All right, let's get to the Cleveland Guardians next. Adam the Bull coming in hot. Kratz, my pup was picky, not anymore with Spot and Tango Unkibble, and it is about 40% less expensive than frozen food. So we're saving in the wallet and we're making our pups happier.
Let's go apples to apples. I'm not cheap, but I don't want to waste my money on something that's good for my dog. This is perfect.
Yeah, they are very excited. Both Bella, Kratz's pup, and Penelope, my little pup, for Spot and Tango. You can get your pup excited too, and there's no more guessing how much to feed your dog either. Spot and Tango creates a custom plan based on your dog's age, weight, breed, and activity level. It's a nice little survey. So upgrade your pet's bowl with Spot and Tango Unkibble for a limited time. Go to spotandtango.com/foul. Use code FOUL to get 50% off your first order. That's spotandtango.com/foul, code FOUL for 50% off your first order. Spotandtango.com/foul, code FOUL. I like what Michael said here on YouTube. Goal number 1 for Ishbia should be making the Sox a 21st century organization.
Goal number 2.
Yeah,
Bring back some of the veteran players that won for the organization. Just saying, winning is contagious.
True. And also the veterans that won AJ, you'll like this. The veterans that won actually played in the 21st century. Crazy thought.
Yeah, it's
but
weird.
If you want to bring them into the 21st
Listen, they're
century,
not very good about
doing 2000s.
They're not very good. I'm not gonna lie. They're not the best organization as far as like alumni relations. This year they've stepped it up, though. I don't know why. There might be an anniversary this year, and they've actually done more than they have in the past. Not sure why, but I don't know. It's weird.
Here's my thing, because this is a perfect segue into what we're going to talk about next. We're going to get into the Cleveland Guardians. They're not spending worlds of money. They're so much more successful than the White Sox. So my thing is, if you're still going to have to wait a long time before they step it up and act like they're in Chicago, I'm curious to see what next year looks like. Let's put it that way. If it's a 100-loss team again next year, like what are we doing, right? I mean, pitchers leave, they go elsewhere, they thrive. Like eventually you got to figure something else out. And there are trends with certain teams within baseball that make them even worse. And it's everyone's internal and mom and pop shop. No one ever leaves. Here we go. Adam the Bull is back on FT, host of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. It's a great show. You can find it on YouTube. Host of the Ultimate Cleveland Guardian Show and of the Bullpen podcast. Dude knows ball. Adam, good to see you, man. How's everything?
Good to see you guys, and thank you, Scott. And I heard what you just said about the Guardians, how they don't spend and we get pissed off about it. I mean, I've been getting angry about that for the 15 years I've been covering this team. But they do have success. They have a really good front office, but the only similarity, though, with the White Sox, which is really interesting, is that, David Blitzer, who's much richer than the current owner, Paul Dolan, he bought a minority stake in the team a few years back and is supposed to eventually be the majority owner. And even though the Guardians have had a good level of success with Paul Dolan, most of the fans want him out. And we want some, I know sometimes be careful what you wish for, but we assume that the payroll will go up with Blitzer. But it's been years now, and you just talked about how the White Sox are going to have this new owner, but it may be a decade. Well, it's been a number of years for the Guardians. We still don't know when Blitzer is going to be the majority stakeholder, but we all want it to happen because the Guardians' payroll needs to be significantly higher. And if it was, man, what a difference it would make with the talent they have in the front office.
I agree. The front office talent is exceptional. They have done an incredible job. I know we've talked about this over the last few years, and I will say to Cleveland fans, you're not really in the conversation right now for ownership complaints. You can do it within the city, but when it comes to the national perspective, we can come up with a long list of names to complain about before we get to Cleveland. So they have to deal with what they've got right now. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That it is what it is. So where are we at on this? Yeah. You know, I mean, hey, I'm here for it, right? I agree. I'm just saying that I get life perspective when we talk about the White Sox and the A's and the Pirates and the Rockies. Like, right, we're easily rattling off names before we even can consider Cleveland's situation. But it is good to hear that maybe eventually there'll be a transition and they can spend a little because, Adam, last year this team goes to the ALCS. This year, I don't give a crap about run differential. The results on the field right now have been good enough to be a playoff contender. Mm-hmm. So what are you seeing from the Guardians this year? And do you think they can replicate what they did last year? I don't care if it is a different route to get them there. If it's a wild card team and eventually we're seeing them play in an ALDS or an ALCS, do you think that this team's capable of that?
I do. It's a very different team than last year, even though it's a lot of the same faces. The lineup was surprisingly good last year, and they ended up middle of the pack in home runs, which was a shocker. And they haven't hit for as much power this year. The bullpen hasn't been quite as good. It's still really good, but it hasn't been quite as good. Although Clase, who got off to a terrible start, as you know, has been much, much better after that really bad start. But I think the difference this year could be the starting pitching. We're used to the Guardians consistently having good starting pitching. They did not have good starting pitching last year for the most part. I think Tanner Bybee, I've been talking about, obviously, Tanner Bybee and Gavin Williams the last few years. And I see these guys pitch and the stuff they have, and I just think there's no limit to how good those two guys can be. I especially am a huge Gavin Williams guy. And I just think, Bybee's kind of really putting it together now, even though he's had a few bad starts here and there. I like, with Gavin Williams, I feel like sometimes he tinkers too much. I didn't play in the big leagues. He does. Two of you three guys played in the big leagues, so you know better than me. But he's got such great stuff. And I just feel like there are times in games where he's afraid to challenge hitters, and he shouldn't be because he's so good. It's like he doesn't trust his stuff enough at times, and that has led to his inconsistency, and that has led to him not being able to go as deep into games as I would like. But I still think, he's a really good, at worst, number 3. And with Shane Bieber making his second rehab start tomorrow in Akron, I mean, it's trending towards him being back in a month. We know how great this guy is when he's healthy. So maybe unfairly or unfairly, I'm expecting Shane Bieber to be an ace for the final 3 months, or at least the final 2 months of the season. Luis Ortiz, for all the complaints we made about that trade, he's been very good. Saccone has shown signs of good stuff, and Logan Allen as a fifth starter is I don't love him, but he's adequate enough. And I just think the Guardians pitching, their starting pitching, and ultimately their entire pitching staff can play with any team in the league. Now they've got to get better on offense. They're going to have to make some trades. There's too many holes in the lineup. But I think their pitching staff will give them a chance in the postseason to compete with the Yankees and compete with the Tigers. Everybody else is, kind of mediocre, and the Tigers are playing over their skis a little bit, don't we think?
I don't know about that. The American League in general is just kind of meh compared to the National League. So that's not going to change. Cleveland's not going to the National League until they switch from a two division set and no more American League, National League. But that's years down the road. Right. Do you feel like when you watch this team day in and day out, you talked about the starting rotation being better.
Yeah.
Do you feel like they need to throw longer into games and Stephen Vogt has to stop having such a hook? Or are you going to keep rolling the dice that in July and August, this epic bullpen that was epic last year, pitched all the way in October, is really tired and is tired again already this year? They need to step up. Do you think Voter will allow that, or do you think they're just going to keep rolling the dice?
Unfortunately, I think I agree with everything you said. They killed the bullpen. Those guys were completely overworked, and they were shot by the end of the season. And I am certainly concerned about it. I think the guys will go a little longer as the season goes because they are more capable. But I totally agree that he's had a way too quick a hook. Like last night, let's say Luis Ortiz get out of that sixth inning. I know he gave up a 2-out hit. I know Bellinger's coming up. Let him get out of that. I feel like too often he doesn't, and maybe that's the old school mentality that I'm sure you guys have for playing back in the day, but like I want to see these starters let him get the third out. When I see a pitcher end with 2/3 of an inning, it drives me nuts. Let him get that third out. I think a lot of the new school thinking, and I'm all about analytics. I get it. I'm not some idiot who's going to come on here and say analytics are stupid. No, that would be stupid. But sometimes you got to just let a pitcher grind through, and that helps him, in those situations when it matters later in the season. And he's got to learn how to get out of these innings. In terms of Gavin Williams, and Bybee to some degree, although he's getting better, they become too obsessed with the strikeout, I think, so much. And the Guardians, even though they got off to a little bit of a slow start this year, are generally a very strong defensive team. And sometimes there's too much, not enough challenging it with 2 outs to try to get that strikeout instead of having that quick inning. That's one of the things that makes Clase so great outside of the playoffs last year and the first few weeks of this year, is that he doesn't get a million strikeouts even with his stuff. He plays, they put the ball in play, make weak contact, and that's why he has 10 pitch innings. So we need more of that. So some of it's on the pitchers, but I think yes, I'm with you, Eric. I think he's got to give him a chance to go longer because you can't wear these guys out. And it is happening again this year. And it's going to kill him at the end of the year again if they continue to do this the whole season. I'm hoping with Shane Bieber coming back, obviously, at first they're going to be very careful, but by, August, September, hopefully he's going 7+ innings, and that'll really help. It'll trickle down the line and help them with saving the bullpen a bit.
Yeah, it's not going to happen, Adam. As much as you want it to, it's not going to happen. No team is doing this. No team.
I know they all do it.
No team does this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I do it. I do it in Little League, AJ. I got my kids pitching 150. No, I'm kidding. I don't.
You sound like Kratz. You sound like Kratz in his high school team. All right, throwing his kids 150 pitches in 3 innings. I don't understand. But
I'm going against an undefeated team tonight. I'm going against an undefeated team tonight. We got to hand them their first loss of the year. It's a big game.
Oh boy, go get them. Good luck. But my question is, you can have all the pitching you want. How's this team going to score runs? I mean, Jose Ramirez, I know they're doing a little better. Some guys have been better, but can this team score enough runs offensively to win? The pitching is great. The pitching's been great for the Guardians forever, but they can't score. How do they score runs?
Can we get the 90s lineups to join this team? They'll never lose. I was just watching a video, guys. It was like the lineup from like May of, I want to say 96, might have been 97. And I'm seeing like Manny Ramirez hitting 7th, Jim Thome hitting 8th. I'm like, what is going on? Sandy Alomar hitting 9th. I'm like, well, this is crazy that they never won a World Series. But no, they're not going to hit. First of all, the Guardians drive me crazy. As much as I respect Antonetti and Chernoff, the Guardians front office, they're great. I know them. For the most part, they do an excellent job. With the prospects, it drives you nuts. Like C.J. Kayfus is one of their better prospects. He's a first baseman DH. Okay, you got Santana, you got Manzardo. I get it. But they've been playing him in the outfield now for a month. He killed it in Akron at AA. He killed it in Columbus at AAA. He's a big dude. He's got power. Okay, maybe he's not that good a fielder. I don't care. You got John Kenzie Noel's batting 100. He's like the worst player in baseball right now. Do you guys know? Do you guys know the last Guardians outfielder to hit 20 home runs? Not 30, not 40. Do you know who the last Guardians outfielder was to hit 20 home runs in a season? Does any of you guys know that?
Brandon Ramirez.
Tyler Naquin.
Not Tyler Naquin. It's not quite as crazy as Manny Ramirez, but it was Michael Brantley 11 years ago. You haven't had a single outfielder hit 20 home runs.
I thought he was an Astro.
Or maybe it was 2012. I can't remember if it was 2012 or 2014 now off the top of my head. Whatever, that 1 year with the Guardians, I mean, he played for the Indians, obviously, for a number of years. But they haven't had one guy, not one, hit 20 home runs. This team can get 3 guys do that every year. They haven't had one. Bring up Kayfus. Let's see what he's got. Chase DeLauder's healthy. Can I see him in the big leagues? These are your best prospects. They don't want to call him up. And they don't want to trade him either to get veterans. So what the hell are we doing? So that's why I'm frustrated. The fans are frustrated.
Just letting them marinate. You brought up Jackenzie Noel. Big Christmas.
Yeah.
Is he a product of – and obviously he's not having a good year, but they try to get the most value out of platoons that they can. You think they're trying to get more value out of something? It's like squeezing water out of a rock. Like, do they see what they have? I mean, they had Nolan Jones – and they were like, wow, this Nolan Jones guy, outfielder, goes off to play for Colorado, hits some bangerangs. Then he gets traded back. It's almost like they're not seeing what they've developed starting pitching very well historically in the organization. Do they not see what they have when they have it in a power hitting outfielder? Because we're specifically talking about that.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're like a 10 of evaluating pitching and developing pitching, and they're a 0 at developing. It seems like the only hitters that ever pan out with the Guardians, like homegrown, are guys that came out of nowhere. I mean, think about it. Jose Ramirez was not a big prospect. Now, Lindor was, obviously. Lindor was a huge prospect. But since Lindor, there's like no big hitting prospects in this organization that ever pan out. If they do, it's somewhere else. And yes, they have had real trouble trying to figure out whose power is real, who's not. And I feel like often they don't give guys enough of an opportunity. Nolan Jones was a top prospect. They never really gave him a chance. Then they shipped him off. He has the great year in 23, struggles last year, and obviously he has struggled here again. Will Benson, it's been up and down, obviously, with him in Cincinnati, but they didn't give him all that much of a chance. Meanwhile, they've tried Will Brennan like 52 times. The guy can't hit. I don't know what they're seeing here. And John Kenzie, I feel bad for the guy. We all love him. We love the nickname. He had a clutch home run in the playoffs last year. I mean, he's a very popular here. But I can't understand why he's still in the big leagues. And he's not going to get better in a platoon. Like, once you guys know this way better than I do, if you're in a platoon situation and you're playing twice a week and you're in a massive slump, like, you're not getting out of that. It's just not happening. He needs to get at-bats, regular at-bats at AAA. I just don't get what they're doing.
All right. Enough on the Guardians. I know we're a baseball show, but let me ask you this question. Who's going to have a higher payroll this year? Your Ohio State team or the Cleveland Browns?
It's a good question. Probably, I'm trying to think. I'm going to say the Browns, because the Browns, it's funny.
They have Deshaun. They still have Deshaun, who's making like $40 million, by the way.
They're paying, and Myles Garrett. No, Deshaun's making like $55 million, and Myles Garrett's making $40 million. So you're paying roughly $90-95 million between those two guys. The Browns, for all their failures, and they are an absolute. I was going to curse, but I can't curse here, so I won't say it. They are just a pathetic organization, just the worst. But their owner, the only thing I give him credit for, because he's a terrible owner, but he does spend. The Browns have spent more money, believe it or not, in the last 5 years than any team in the entire NFL. He doesn't care. He keeps, it's not doing him any good. They don't win any games, but he spends money. So I will say the Browns will spend more, but obviously just because there's nobody you're paying 50 and 40 million to. But yeah, the Buckeyes are going to be loaded again, and they have obviously a great chance, even with a new quarterback, new running backs, new all this stuff. They're loaded. I mean, even before NIL, the Buckeyes were one of the best teams in college football, probably the best team in the country consistently outside of the, Alabama and then maybe LSU. And now with NIL, Alabama and LSU don't have the alum with the deep pockets that Ohio State does.
Well, the Browns
the
were
owner of the
already
Browns is
cursed.
my buddy. By the
Yeah,
way, the
they
owner
were
of the
already
Browns is my
cursed,
buddy.
though.
So thanks,
Yeah.
Adam. I'm going to tell him you said that.
Yeah. Who is your buddy? I didn't hear that.
Tell your buddy, the owner, you said.
Oh, you're friends with Jimmy?
Well, his son-in-law is a really good buddy of mine. Married his daughter.
Well,
He's the one that when they go and they do all the stuff, he's the face. It's not Jimmy anymore. It's his son-in-law that does all the stuff with Goodell.
Yeah.
So he's a good buddy.
By the way,
of mine.
I'll tell you that when I talk about him, and I do talk about him on the air, he probably hates me because I refer to him as the son-in-law. I call him the son-in-law, and when they first bought the team, I'll tell you guys this quick story. When he first bought the team, Jimmy, I met. I'm drawing a blank on what is his name? Your friend, the brother,
JW,
right? So I met with we met up at a bar. He and I. It was like an event going or something. He said he wanted to talk business with me. At the time, I was doing a radio show for a radio station called The Fan. That was we had the Browns games on the radio. So I thought he wanted to talk to me about. He wanted me to do something with the Browns, do whatever. I don't know what he wanted, and he brought up, because he's in TV. He brought up something. I can't even remember the details. It's so many years ago, but he brought up me being a player, if you will, I guess, on a reality show like Naked and Afraid or something of that. And I'm like, are you out of your mind? I'm going to put my fat body on Naked and Afraid? Nobody needs to see my naked body. I talk on the radio generally. Now I'm doing TV, which is crazy because I got a face for radio. But I was like apoplectic that he wanted me to be on some stupid. I'm like a sports broadcaster, for crying out loud. I'm a professional. You want me to take off my clothes and look like a lunatic on a reality show? I guess if he would have paid me enough money. I mean, if there were millions involved, if I was getting that kind of money, I probably would have sold out and did it. But at the time, I was offended by it, and again, nobody needed to see me naked, so I turned down that opportunity. But he was pushing for it.
There is a show, Naked and Rich, coming out soon.
I will pass that along. I'm going to pass that story along.
I mean, but that could be
There
a
you
good
go.
show potentially, like a bunch of fat sports broadcasters, not naked, but on a desert island. Like you could have, me. You throw Jason Whitlock in there. Let's get, whatever. I'm not going to name the other names. I don't need to have everybody in the business hate me. So get us all out there, and we'll beat each other up on a desert island. I don't know.
I love that. I would take the Jeff Prost role, the Survivor host. I would eat that up and run marathons with everyone all day long. I'm all for it. Adam, this was enjoyable, always entertaining. Appreciate the time, man. Good to catch up with you, and everyone check out Adam on Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, Ultimate Cleveland Guardian Show, and Best of the Bullpen, his pod. Give him a follow at Adam the Bull, and you can see where to catch all of that. Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
See ya. We'll be right back with Buck Showalter, Clothed. Fun one today. All right, a couple things for our Chat BCC crowd, our 24/7 community hanging out with us. We did a poll on the National League based off your who's the best, so we can show the results there. And then I also want to make sure that I queue up a question for everyone. Who is the best team in the National League? Winner? Dodgers, 36%. Mets, 30%. Cubs, 16%. Phillies, 12%. Padres, 6%. Someone else got no percent. There it is.
I bet. I wonder if it's blue. I wonder if producer lady clicked the Mets when she, and so it's blue. We know who producer lady was picking, trying to manipulate trying to make me look like I'm wrong, make AJ look like he's wrong. Come on, producer lady. We see what you're doing.
I love when you get to see what someone votes for. Hey, we want transparency for the Hall of Fame. We want it for awards voting, which we do actually get. So good stuff there. The other thing I'll say about Chat BCC, and we can show the little thing on how to get involved. Foulterritory.chat. Questions for Buck Showalter. I'll check it out mid-conversation and see if there's a couple that we bring onto the conversation. So foulterritory.chat. Start chatting with FT host and the FT fam today. Get in there. We're announcing a pretty cool giveaway after the show that we'll talk more about on the show. But if you're in there, you'll be able to see what the giveaway is. And I'll give you a hint on what it is. Tickets to a game. So anyway, FT fam, we got about a minute and then we'll bring on Buck Showalter. Actually, while we have a minute here, we're not going to have time to go over this at length, but Evan Drellick put out a report that Manfred is actually proposing the ABS challenge system for 26. So there were some reports out there for 27. It looks like we are still in play for 26. Just wanted to clarify that one. We're just the middle.
Why
people.
not? Why would you not have it in 26?
I agree. I was shocked when I saw that.
Remember 2 days ago we had this conversation? I'm like, why are we waiting a year? Like, let's do it. If this thing's ready, let's do it now. Everybody's gonna be tapping their head. Taylor Walls now.
Exactly. New favorite thing to do in baseball is going to be this at a game, hopefully next year. So Manfred's still on board. Just sounded like the reports were off. Just wanted to clarify for everyone. Obviously, we'll talk more about that when it gets closer to actually happening. I think we've got Buck coming up next in a minute.
You're muted, Scott. Can't even hear you. We can
I
see
wanted
you,
to
though.
let I wanted to let the fire sizzle a little bit because it takes a while to roast the A's to this extent. Oh my gosh. They just got bludgeoned by the Twins, and this team is completely fallen apart. They're pretty soon going to be competing for worst spot in the American League. You got to look while AJ talks about how bad they are in the standings on that side. Obviously, the Rockies are in another category, but AJ Ken put out an article this morning. If we have him on tomorrow, we'll talk to him about it. And he did talk about it on Fair Territory, of course. Blame the bullpen for the A's struggles, but also blame their situation. And you've been all over this story too.
Yeah, they're all starting to say it. They're all starting to do it. They're all starting to complain about the situation in West Sacramento, how it's not a big league park. I mean, it wears on you. Think about it. They got at least 2 more years. I'm in Vegas. They haven't moved a piece of dirt at the Tropicana site. That's going to be ready in 2 years, and they haven't even started yet? I don't know, man. This has got to wear on you as a player. I'm sorry.
2 more. I mean, they haven't moved dirt yet. And the Rays, they proposed a stadium, and they said it would take 3 years. No way they get in before 29. I'm fully convinced. And if there's something that grinds on players that they can't do anything about, that is a daunting thing to try to push through. And obviously they got to figure it out. Other teams come in and don't give up as many homers as they do, but they have to figure this out. This is a competitive disadvantage for the A's. If there is something that the stadium is just wearing on them, grinding on them. And we haven't even gotten into the hot part of the season yet there. We're about to get into it. And I watched the game the other day. The field is starting to get beat up a little bit. There was a couple bad hops on the infield. You're going to start really seeing it get worn out because they're playing a lot of games on it.
Here's my question for you, Kratzy. And as the visiting team, you go in there and you say, I only got to play 3 games, maybe 4 games here, right? You get through it. As the home team, you look up and you go, man, I got 10 days here, right? In a place that's just, is not a big league stadium. I feel sorry for the players. I feel sorry for the coaches. I feel sorry for the people that are part of that organization because they didn't do this to themselves. This was done outside of their control, and it's catching up to them. And listen, my pick is them being a dark horse playoff team.
They were 22-20. They're 22-20. 20 games ago. They have one win. I mean, yeah, it wears on you. It shouldn't wear on you. And I think if we would bring every single one of the guys on, they'd be like, no, it's not wearing on me. But if there is something, no matter what it is, even if it's like the travel to the ballpark or the fact that the clubhouse is so far, we have to always walk from the clubhouse all the way to home plate. Like, whatever it is, it just mentally gets to you. And then you get to a point where you're like, especially like Severino, Sevy's out there, he's grinding when he's at home. He's a competitor, and so he goes, I have to try to do better. And anytime you try to do better, it gets worse.
Yeah, it's minor league conditions when they're playing.
What do baseball players do best?
League,
what are baseball players the best at, Scott? Complaining. Why? Because I'm going to explain this, and I had to have this conversation the other day with someone. Baseball players are great at complaining. Why? Because you never, as a baseball player, when you're going super well, right, Kratz? You never really want to talk about it. It's always like, oh, I'm hot, so I don't want to talk about how hot I am because then I'll cool off, right? When someone's on a long hitting streak, right? They don't ask me about I've hit in 35 straight games because I don't want to talk about it, right? So what's it lead you to do as a baseball player? Talk about negative stuff, right? Because you're like, well, if I talk about the negative stuff, maybe it'll turn around and get better. So baseball players are great at one thing besides playing baseball. It's complaining. Because we have a lot of time on our hands, so we sit around and we don't want to talk about the good stuff because we're afraid it might go away, but we talk about the negative stuff and we're like, hopefully it'll turn around, somebody will hear us and it'll get better.
Well, and minor league conditions are much worse than major league conditions. Hey, Torrey Hunter almost quit because he didn't want to deal with minor league conditions for too much longer. We have that interview up. 9-22, this team at home. Luis Severino, Ken writes, is the symbol of the difficult transition. 6.99 home ERA, 0.87 road ERA. Mic drop. Coming up next, Buck Showalter, our resident manager on FT. Hey, we're back. And by the way, last chance to get some questions in for Buck Showalter. So let us know. I see the post, I believe producer lady put it out there. Otherwise, you can just throw them in the side chat and let us know what you've got for us. Anyway, I haven't seen this video, so I'm going to watch it with you guys for the first time. Last night, there was a pretty long pause in the Mets-Dodgers broadcast because apparently the dude could run, had some wheels, who ran on the field. So I have not seen this yet, and now we're going to get to watch it together. There he goes.
It was he had a great route going, and then you can't try to take him on. You just got to keep running. You're faster than them. You tried to take him on. There's no way. They got some good shots in there. The one dude was just grinding on his rib right there. Like they enjoyed that part of it.
Did he try to fight back? Is that what happened? Like he was sprinting and then he decided to stop?
Mm-hmm. And he tried to push the guy no, you got to keep running. You had the speed advantage.
Yeah, but they had the numbers advantage and the radio advantage. You know what his best bet would have been to do? Is to jump in that short wall down the left field line at Dodger Stadium and get into the crowd. And then people might have tried to protect him a little bit. Maybe he could have tried to get a little bit farther away. But nobody wants to watch you get your ass beat on the field in front of people, especially against the Mets when New York and LA are both watching. I know they don't show it, but then someone's always going to post it, right? So all they do is hashtag Mets, hashtag Dodgers, and now 1 billion people get to see you get your ass beat by about 15 security guards.
Yeah, apparently it's like a $10,000 fine. So I'm like, man, that guy got some pretty good time. Like social media hit wise, the branding person in me is like, he should have worn a shirt of a company. I don't know, like a law firm.
No, let's not. No, let's not.
I'm not condoning it. I'm not condoning it. Trust me.
No. Do not get on the field. You're an idiot if you run on the field.
Yes,
although I did it once. I did do it once and did not get arrested. So I'm not proud of it, but I did jump on a field once.
during a
I
game.
do remember that story. Yes, but you're a professional.
Yeah, it was a bad idea. Let's just say there was some beverages involved that were not water. Juice boxes?
Yeah.
And a dare from Toby Hall.
We're not proud
Bad
of
idea.
it, but it happens.
We're not proud of it. Trust me. My wife will not go to a football game with me again. There's that.
Buck Showalter's here. I love the chair too. It looks like he's ready to dive in with us. Buck, good to see you. Great to have you back on FT. I've heard you've got a nice, pretty microphone too, so I'm excited to hear your voice. I am going to try to get right to biz with you because you did manage this player a few years ago. What do you think about the story of Pete Alonso? I mean, last year he was fine, but not great compared to previous seasons. He looks more like the guy from the past now. He went through some things in the offseason. I don't know how many games you've caught and swings you've caught of his, but what are you seeing?
I got Pete being Pete. Pete's a great collision hitter. He's one of those, and I'm saying that with a great reverence. When he collides with the ball, great things happen. And he's just so country strong. I'm pulling for him. I mean, what are you saying it in reference to? I know his contract is interesting with some of the language in it that kind of protects, him in case he has a good year. And Scott, and what look are you looking at it?
Yeah, I mean, in the offseason, he's probably thinking he's going to sign for whatever, 4 years, 100 or something like that. And the rest of the market wasn't valuing him, or teams were just not looking for a first baseman like that, which is mind-blowing in its own right? Obviously, there's certain teams that are never going to go down that route, like the Pirates, but even the Washington Nationals, for example, they did end up getting someone in Nathaniel Lowe, so it's fine. It's the route they took. But initially, we go into the offseason, we're like, damn, we could come up with quite a few teams here that could use a potential 50 home run bat. And then he's really just talking to the Mets and a little bit of the Blue Jays there. So he seemed, unfazed now this year that he's already gone through that free agent season process, and now he's just going to do his thing.
Well, there's some thoughts that I have on one. His mind's at ease a little bit. I've had this conversation with a number of players over the year. He'd be walking around during batting practice, and they may ask advice about something, and I try to stay out of the contracts. I just said, just ask yourself, how much is enough? How much is enough? I mean, are you happy here? Do you like your teammates? Are you looking for greener pastures? Because the grass is not always greener. I'm sure both Erik and AJ will tell you, when you find a place that your family's comfortable and everything, there's something monetary for that. And I also worry a little bit about a potential work stoppage in 26 and what that might do where Pete's concerned. That's what I would be thinking about.
Do you ever have those conversations? Like, let's say you had that conversation. We're obviously doing hypotheticals, and you're like, man, Pete says his wife really loves New York. Do you, because this is as a player, you always were leery of talking to anybody, manager, front office, and being like, Pete goes, my wife really loves it here. She is, and he stops. Do you take that conversation into the front office as a manager?
Never.
Do you know if they do? Do they ask you? They ask you?
Yeah, they try to, but I tell them that, that trust you have to have with the players. I remember John Scope came up to me. I remember like yesterday behind second base during batting practice, and someone had offered him a bunch of money up front, but he got a really high percentage of everything he made the rest of his career. And John, was a year or 2 or 3 years away from free agency, and he said, Buck, what do you think about this? And I said, well, if they're doing it with you, they're doing it with 5 or 6, 7 other young players. And I guarantee you guys have probably heard about it. And it was like $7-8 million up front, but they got like maybe 20-30% of what they made the rest of their career. And instead of saying no, I knew John. I'd been to John's island in Curacao, and I also, what that might mean to him and what would happen if he got hurt 2 days later and never realized, what $7 million in Curacao is? He's set the rest of his life. So when you get asked those questions by players, you want to be real real honest and trusting and knowing that that information is not going anywhere. But that's also where agents come into play, where, you know, Pete's wife and different people are comparable there. But at some point, you got to have somebody that's looking out for the big picture and realizing, yeah, there's some emotions involved, but you also realizing you're leaving this much on the table if you don't go out. And agents also are trying to keep the market at a certain place where if you get an agent that signs real low, the big time agents are not happy with him because it affects them. Hi, agent.
Yeah, agents. Yeah. Buck, I could see you and agents being super tight. I could see you and agents being like this, Buck. I could just see
Some of
you
them.
two sitting in a room
Some of them.
together having some incredible conversations.
Some of them. So there's some really good ones out there that really have a good approach to it. They really do. And I'm glad some of our guys have them so they don't get taken advantage of. And there are some that I would not want my son involved with or daughter.
Okay, so let me ask you this, Buck. The Braves fired their third base coach because they're not scoring runs because Matt Tuiasosopo was too aggressive sending guys, right? He was too aggressive waving them home, even though they can't score any runs. Now, the next question is they brought back Freddie Gonzalez, who I played for a year and a half. But what's that like? As the manager, you're like, wait, I'm Snicker. We brought in the guy that when he got fired, I took over for. Like, is that a little awkward for the manager-coach relationship?
I think with Freddie, it's not. I think Freddie really, if knowing Freddie, I had Freddie in, what was it, 84 in Fort Lauderdale in Florida State League. I think Freddie gets it when you've walked a mile in Snit's shoes and you realize how important that trust is. And I would be surprised if Snit just said, okay, yeah, do whatever you want to with my coaching staff. Knowing him, I'm sure that he probably had some input on it. But I want to tell you, once players see that you're kind of letting them go take good coaches, it's one of the reasons why I left the Yankees years ago. They wanted to fire 4 of my coaches. And being able to walk in that locker room and the players look at you and go, wait a minute, you're giving up good people left and right just to save yourself. And I don't think that's the case with Snit. I think he probably, I don't know, it's the first I've heard about it, but you know, he's got one of those coaching staffs that you actually know some of the people that are on them.
All right. There's been a couple firings, managers of teams that aren't doing well. Right or wrong, when you took over in the middle of the year, did you feel like when a team is struggling, you have to set a new standard? Because one of the managers didn't even, well, I'll get back to you. I'll get back to you on what the new focus is. Because if there's no new focus for the team that's struggling, a team that's 10, 15 games under 500, what on earth are you taking over for? Keep the other guy.
You know, Eric, that's a good point. I only took over one club, and it was in August, so I had basically a month and 3 weeks. And I kept my mouth shut and basically watched. And, you know, until you've been in a situation, you think you know everything from afar, but until you've walked a mile, you know, and the players in the city, every place is different. So I didn't make a lot of bold statements. I just kind of took notes, thought about who were keepers, who weren't, what needed to change. And, you know, every situation is different that you go into, and what do they need you to bring that's not there? And and going in and talking about the previous people or the regime or whatever, nobody wants to hear it. You know, fans don't want to hear it. Just shut up and play better. That's the only thing I ever had on a wall that I put up, I think. I used to paint over a lot of all those sayings that people would go, oh my God, that didn't make me. Did you ever have a saying you read and you went, wow, that made me a better player? We just put one thing up there, play better. Play better. You know, that's all the fans, you know, they've heard all this lip service about what they're going to do, what they got to get back to. That's one of my key. I don't, you know, but morale and the people that are the ushers, the parking attendants, the people that work the doors, they're all part of the presentation of an organization. There's so many facets into changing that mindset. And I think you make a mistake if you go in there and just say everything's bad and everything stinks, and I'm here to save the day. There are some good people there in these situations that you need to be aware of. Well, let me ask you guys a question. What
Who
would
was it?
you
Was
do
it
in
the
Colorado?
Orioles guy?
Go ahead, what? The Orioles what?
You need new players. You need new players, new GM, and a new owner. Let's start with that, and then we'll go from there. As the manager, what can you do? You got the players you got. You can't change who you got. You can't change a horse's stripes. If they're not very good. That's not a knock on the players. They're in the big leagues. I get it, but what are you going to do? I mean, they just swept the Marlins, though, so they must be better than them.
Yeah, that's a really interesting dynamic with the ballpark and the height. You know, there's only, I don't know if you consider Arizona, but you know, one thing I was thinking about the other day, they're the only team in that mountain time zone. I think Arizona is considered in it, but their time, I believe, never changes. You know, while other people may change, Arizona stays the same year round. That's one thing I loved about living out there. But there's just a lot of dynamics with Colorado that challenges that I think other people don't have. And there's got to be you can't make them play inside and change the pressure where the elevation doesn't affect things. And it is a big factor there. But they have been to the playoffs before. They have had competitive teams. They have, there's something there. Everybody's got a theory on it. Trust me, everybody's got a theory on how you win in Colorado, and good luck.
All right. Well, that leads to my next question. Are you the next manager of the Rockies, or are you going to be the next manager of the Orioles when they ask you back? Because what would you do to fix Baltimore? Because they have not played up to their potential.
Well, they got a lot of people hurt. I think they're they're getting it going a little bit now. It's like maybe a month ago, everybody was ready to run everybody out of town in Minnesota. Next thing you know, they won 10 games in a row, and now, they're in the playoffs. If it ended today, there's over 100 games left. I don't dwell in that. There's times when baseball will make you feel like you're awful, and there are times when it makes you feel better than you actually are, and that's why, coaching staff and managers have to understand, the end game at all times. There's sometimes in a game you may not have to put your best foot forward. You may not put your best foot forward so you can maintain long-term success. But we're not, I hope nobody gets let go. It's painful. I hope everybody keeps their job, and I hope everybody plays 500. But that's not the case. AJ, I pretty much am not going to answer your question. What else?
well then here's the next question. Did you ever go into a season, and I'm thinking specifically of the Orioles, they have so much potential, so much youth, and you are a players manager where you're like, I believe in the players, maybe to a fault because the players may struggle and I can't do anything about that. All I can do is believe in them. But you sit there and you go, gosh darn it, there were so many starting pitchers available, and we just didn't get any of the top three that I was hoping for. Is that tough for you to overcome as a manager?
You can't live in that world, Erik. You can't, you stay focused on what your job is. It's kind of like, have you guys seen the Netflix? My wife got me watching Race for the Crown about the Triple Crown and everything. But the guy had a great point. He said, a manager of a baseball team is like a jockey. And the trainer of the horse is kind of the GM. And you got to have such a close relationship. Those two guys have to be on the same page with everything. And you can't lament who we didn't get or who we didn't trade for or who we didn't sign. You can't because one, it's saying to everybody in that locker room, there were people better than you. Your focus is on those 26 guys and whoever may be coming up from the minor leagues. And it starts in spring training. It's all about making them as good as it can be. Is it fair when things don't work out and the manager or the coaches get fired? Of course not. But you didn't ever sign up for fairness. And that's why GMs stay around longer. But, it's kind of like who's critiquing the critiquers. And I tried to stay out of that. It was hard sometimes because you want to, what's the old expression, Bill Parcells, you want me to cook dinner, but you won't let me pick the groceries or help pick the groceries. And I think that's one of the reasons why Detroit has been so successful. You can tell what a close relationship AJ and their GM have and how much input their coaching staff has on player evaluations. And I think it's really played out as these young players have started to mature.
Buck, you go into your next managerial job. Do you want a GM who says, you know what? We have all this stuff. We're building this for the next 5 years. Or are you more interested in a GM that says, you know what? We're pushing all our chips in. We want to win from day one on.
I think both. I don't mean to skirt your question. In the locker room, you're always going to be trying to win a baseball game. That's why people pay money to come watch you play. And I would never apologize for trying to win every game. The difference is sometimes you'll make a decision with a young player or somebody that's going through growing pains that may not put your best foot forward. That's why it's important to know where you are. But it's tough sometimes. These managers take a beating to get it to the end game, and then what do? They go get another manager. But that's, you wouldn't trade it for the world. But I think you can do both. I know when I was coming up with the Yankees, we had 2 jobs as minor league managers: develop players and win our league. Not necessarily in that order. And teaching guys how to win baseball games was key to our player development. I remember one year we won 6 or 7 leagues, and it was the only year that Steinbrenner gave out watches instead of rings. Killed me. But I remember that was part of it. It was teach. I love how these farm directors go, "Yeah, we're developing great, but we're in last place in every league." Well, you're not developing if you're doing that. At some point, the things you're teaching and the things you're doing should start showing up in a game and on the scoreboard. I believe that.
But one thing I don't agree with you on, Buck, is we brought you on here for your honesty. So stop skirting questions, okay? We need direct answers. No more skirting from you, all right? Because that's not your personality. I asked you if you're going to be the next manager of the Orioles or the Rockies, and you said no.
I'll tell you my involvement is Adam Jones asked me if I would come introduce him for his Oriole Hall of Fame, and I think I'm gonna do it. I haven't been back there since I left. I think I'm gonna do it for Adam. That's a big deal. That's a big deal.
I'm gonna see Adam tonight, so I'm gonna ask him why he didn't ask me to introduce him. But I don't know. Maybe I'll get you out of it one way or another. All right, so I got to ask you, you mentioned the Rockies and what should they do? Well, you once walked Barry Bonds with the bases loaded. That's the kind of outside the box thing that people in the Colorado need to do. So what did you think of Ron Washington and Aaron Judge when he intentionally walked him like in the first inning? And then they were kind of laughing about it. I mean, isn't that kind of what the Rockies need?
Well, pitching to Aaron Judge, a long time ago, I remember Billy Martin. Remember, what was the guy with the afro? Oscar Gamble. Spring training, you tried to win every game. Billy Martin, the last inning, said, "Take one till we get the tie and run to the plate." And So Oscar hit the first pitch for a home run. Billy was irate, and he said, "Billy, hold on. When I'm in the batter's box, I am in scoring position." Now, with that being said, Judge is in scoring position when he steps in the box, so I can see it. I don't know. Still, if you get the ball in the right places and the right sequence, you can get people out. But the ability to repeat pitches, especially with the deliveries that you're seeing today, where everybody's just chasing velocity and locations, in a lot of cases, is thrown out the window. I don't know if I would trust some of the pitchers either to execute that sequence. You know what I'm talking about, AJ? The sequence that you try to.
Yeah.
It must be frustrating for you. You get a sequence, you get everything going, and you got the guy set up for the right pitch, and the guy can't execute. It must drive you crazy.
No doubt, Buck. But here's my last question. It's got to be quick. Mississippi State, your alma mater, fired their coach, hired a new coach. 1, were you on the short list to be their new head coach? And 2, were you involved in the hiring of the new coach? Because as soon as they got eliminated from the regional, they announced it like 2 minutes after. So were you already on your way in there? Because they did play in Tallahassee, which is close to where you live.
No, it's not close to Dallas. I can tell you that. But you know what? Zach Selman and I have talked about other things other than that, but they made a good decision. I like O'Connor, and I think they're announcing today, and I hope the best for our program. It's been tough. Both the guy they fired and the guy they're bringing in have won the College World Series at some point in their career, so it's a special place. But I don't. I know what I'm good at and what I'm not at, AJ. I have a lot of respect for things. I'm not going to tell the pilot how to land a plane. College coaching and the NIL and having to recruit your own players every year, I probably wouldn't be good at kissing some 16-year-old kid's butt. And I'll tell you another thing. So I understand what's going on, but watching the regionals, I watched them. Guys, where is the sportsmanship going in our game? It's hard to watch. I cannot believe some of the stuff that these coaches allow these guys to do, and you see it in Little League, in the Little League World Series. I don't know how did we lose that? How did we lose respect for your competition? I don't get it.
Managers like you let people get away with it, Buck. Managers like you, it's your fault.
Well, not me, but you got to pick your spot.
You can't. You want to know why? Because you can't throw at anybody anymore, and you can't handle it on the field because you can't. That's where it starts. And everyone, let's make the game fun until somebody gets offended, and then it's not fun. Then it's let's fight. So, anyways, got to go.
AJ, that's funny you said that, because I was thinking the other day talking with an old teammate that we used to have skirmishes. I'm not going to say fights in the minor leagues all the time. Nobody got suspended. But we policed ourselves, and there was a certain code, so to speak, when things weren't copacetic. And I don't ever remember anybody getting hurt, getting suspended. You took care of whatever issue you had with somebody, and whether it was a slide, whether it was a collision, whether it was a little get together behind second base, and there wasn't any wolf calls back then. You want him, go get him. Okay, don't get your teammates involved in it. There was no wolf calls on this team. I used to tell them, you guys want somebody, go get him. We got your back with the rest of them, but make sure it's just one-on-one and you take care of business.
But Buck, good stuff. But in college, they say let the kids play or they'll transfer. But anyway, it was good to see you. I'm just joke on the way out. Buck, you're the man. Thank you so much. We're tight against time. We'll have you back soon, okay?
God bless you guys. Take care.
You too. You too. Great stuff.
Bye-bye.
BetMGM locks. Here we go. After a clean sweep of losses yesterday, Erik Kratz down the most. Get us back on track.
Okay, I'm just going to go the under in the Orioles-Mariners game. I think he's paying at minus 115, taking the under.
Boom, easy. Mine's pretty easy too. It's Max Fried day. Yankees coming off a 4-0 shutout loss. Law of averages, they're not going to get shut out again. And Max Fried's freaking dominant this season, going up against Slade Ciccone for Cleveland. So Yankees by one in the hook, as Todd Father would say, to pull off a dub there. AJ, what do you have?
I have over 5.5 strikeouts for Framber of Valdez. He's pitching against the Pirates. Framber's been pitching really well. Pirates strike out a lot, so I feel that's pretty easy. And then I'm also going over 9.5 in the Cubs and the Nats game. The game yesterday was 2-1. The Cubs lost. They have one of the best offenses. It's Pomeranz, kind of a bullpen day for the Cubs. Pomeranz has been a bulk guy against Mr. Irvin. I think they're going to score a lot of runs in this game, especially, listen, I look at this and it was 2-1 yesterday, so I feel like there's going to be some serious runs scored in this game.
There they are, plus 212 for AJ's lock for Kratz, minus 115, and I'll go 260 today. Give me the 260 to win $200.
By the way, I'm in a BetMGM hotel out here in Vegas, so I can just go put these bets live for you guys if you guys cash at me the money.
That would be fantastic. Wow, look at you. And you're playing a little golf today or tomorrow or both?
Tomorrow's the golf. We have the pairings party tonight. Adam Jones is out here. I think Gary Sheffield, a good buddy of mine, Chris Chelsea. And by the way, I went to Kenny Chesney last night at the Sphere. If you have not seen a concert in the Sphere, it is unbelievable.
It was good? Worth the
so good.
Price of admission?
Like you don't even watch the stage. You watch the stuff.
Which I think is cooler because I don't need to watch. I want to listen to the music and then watch cool things. So there you go. BetMGM's giving you the chance to win a prize every day during baseball season. It's called BetMGM Swing for the Fences. It's a free-to-play game. And to access it, visit the BetMGM app. Gambling problem or concern? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. We'll be back for a little quickie segment. Injuries suck. We've got two. First one, Francisco Lindor has a broken right pinky toe. He expects to play through it. As of now, no IL on the table. So we're good there, right? Not much to say. We're okay.
Did he do it in the middle of the night like Mookie? Did he
Nope.
do it in the middle of the night? Oh, okay. Well, it's a pinky toe. I mean, he should be okay with the pinky toe. It's not even your big toe. It's your little toe.
As long as it doesn't make him limp and something else starts hurting. I know guys that played through knee pain and it became hip pain, which is worse. It's just like a pitcher throwing through elbow pain becomes shoulder pain. You don't want it to become something else.
Mm-hmm. And he is not in the lineup today.
It's a long way. We used to have a saying, it's a long way from your heart. Your pinky toe's a long way from your heart. You can play. Francisco and Lindor play through this.
Here's a much more serious one. I want to spend 1 minute on here. Pablo Lopez, he's going to miss 8 to 12 weeks, a grade 2 strain of the teres major in the right shoulder. I mean, he's been great this year. Guys, he's their ace. AJ, this sucks because I know the Twins look really good right now, but that's a really tough division.
Yeah, this sucks, dude. He was pitching good, too. Man, this is a big blow for the Twins. This really is a big blow when you lose your best pitcher for 8 to 12 weeks and you start messing with the shoulder. We say it all the time, shoulder's bad, but man, the Twins were hot. They were playing well. It's a blow. It's a big blow.
Mm-hmm.
Can't let other teams back in it in that division for sure. Might have. I mean, as the American League is, there's a chance we could have another 3 teams from that division, 4 teams from that division going to the playoffs.
Yeah, so September is 3 months from now, so that's just not good. Great guy, great pitcher. He's had dominant moments in clutch spots for them, including the playoffs. So I think the Twins are going to be on the outside looking in that division, but we'll see. Let's do a little better than box scores in a break here. So I want to shout out a series that's been really damn good, not just getting as much attention, obviously, as Mets Dodgers, but Kratz, Giants Padres, yes, please. And that's been a freaking awesome 1-run every game series.
Great plays, low scoring to last night. It was 6-5. Had balls bouncing off of the bricks. I think everybody really knows about the Padres and everybody sees the Giants, but to watch the Giants play, they're just always in every game. Padres, I feel like, have more flash, have more opportunity, flair, all that stuff. They got to a pitcher who was dominating them last night. Pivetta was dominating him. Should he have stayed out there? He only had like 70 pitches, I think, in the 6th inning. And then it kind of fell apart for him, and the Giants just hung around. But they hung around because they were running balls down in the outfield, throwing dudes out. Like, they are a fun team to watch. Not that the Padres aren't, but you need to watch a Giants game here and there.
How about the moves the Giants are making? By the way? With the Buster Posey had to release Lamont Wade Jr., his teammate, that had to be a little bit awkward. Kratz, what do you think? I mean, I don't know. They're making moves, but listen, I'm all for the former players doing well when they get to be in the front office roles because I think it brings a little bit of a full circle thing. You can't be heavy analytics, can't be heavy just player. So I love it. But man, how about that? Having Buster Posey having to call in Lamont Wade, who he played with, and saying, "Sorry, dude, but we're letting you go." That would suck.
He even said it in his interview. He goes, "He's still my friend." It's like, hey, buddy,
yeah.
I'm taking you out of my phone right now. You know why? Because you just fired me. But he said in the interview, I watched his interview when he talked about it in his scrum, and he goes, it's time. We're just not doing enough things right. We need other people to fit into spots. They're going to say, well, he was hitting better than Willy Adames. Well, they ain't getting rid of Willy Adames. He was just the odd man out, and it's Dominic Smith is brought up, and it's his turn to shine now.
Yeah, Adames, 75 OPS plus, Wade 58. So he was, by a standard that many front offices look at, But I get your point. Yeah, and you got to cut someone. You got to switch things up. All right, let's slap Kratz Hatz. Wearing a lot of red today.
I did it for my guy Robbie Hyde. I figured, how could we didn't even have any that much drama in Boston. I mean, we got a fight. It made me feel like I have more street cred wearing the Red Sox hat today.
I agree. And like there hasn't, I mean, what is it? Our show ends at 3:00 Eastern time every day. I mean, there hasn't been any reports of drama today in Boston. So it's like checking the weather. Like, yeah, it's early, right? But like right now you're like, oh, chance of rain's pretty low today. Wow. Okay. Maybe we'll go outside. And then it's like, boom, fight.
They're off. Don't
off
worry. They
day.
play the Yankees tomorrow in New York. Something will pop up.
Something will happen. Very, very true. All right, FT fan, that was good. Back tomorrow with Todd Father. AJ, play well tomorrow. Have fun.
Thanks. I've been looking forward to playing Shadow Creek for a while, so it's finally going to happen. Granted, it is about 107 out here.
Hydrate.
Outside. Yep. Hydrate. And he played in Texas outside and caught like a champ. So there you go. There's your bougie water. See everyone mañana. Ken Rosenthal and Carlos Mendoza, Mets manager tomorrow.
Maybe. Best team in baseball. They're the best.